What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Doghouse Sports, a fan's best friend.
For all things sports.
Yes, sir. Well, Beach, it is an exciting day today. Why is that?
Well, we are going to be doing a live full first round mock draft with some of our friends. There's going to be 6 of us total, and that comes out to either 5 or 6 picks per person. And yeah, it's going to hopefully be a little bit of mayhem, but it should be a lot of fun.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be the first time that we're really getting the full crew out here. So super excited for that. Just some ground rules in addition to what Beach laid out there. First of all, we are going to allow live trades during the draft. So there might be a little discourse there, but we're going to let those go through. And then the other thing is each person is going to get a minute 30 per pick. 1, so we can keep things moving, but 2, to kind of add to that pressure that the teams themselves are going to be feeling on draft day. That's what we're trying to simulate.
So I do want to acknowledge, due to the nature of this mock with trades being as kind of tricky as they are, we're only allowing trades within the first round here. And, in all reality's sake, we could definitely see a team trading up into the first round to get that 5th-year option for one of these quarterbacks. But allowing teams to trade back in, it's just something that we figured to be too much of a headache.
So, Beach, real quick before we jump in, I'm looking forward to it, but what is the one thing you're hoping to gain out of this mock draft? How do you think it's going to help you moving into the real draft?
Well, I do a lot of mock draft simulators, but when you do so many of those, sometimes you can kind of get a feel for what the computer picks and everything. So I really like this idea of this is unknown. You don't know what another live person is going to think, so it makes more variety. And I think the actual draft is almost impossible to predict. So I like that this is about as close to that as you can get.
For sure, I agree. Personally, I'm looking forward to that, but also seeing how some of the players that you and I have gone back and forth about, how they rise or fall. It's always a fun thing to see. Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the draft. See you in a couple seconds. Welcome, everybody, to the 2024 Doghouse Sports Mock Draft. I'm excited to get things kicked off. So with the first overall pick, we will go over to Mr. Chris, picking for the Bears.
As the Bears GM, I'm very excited for this upcoming season. We had a pretty solid season last year. We dealt with some injuries, but we made some good off-season acquisitions. We got Keenan Allen. We're building on DJ Moore. I think we have done a great job surrounding our future rookie quarterback with some good pieces needed to succeed. What we're looking for in a rookie quarterback, we're looking for a guy that can come in right away. High floor, someone who can come in, be a good leader, first in, last out kind of guy. And that guy's J.J. McCarthy. We're picking him number 1. I'm just kidding. It's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams. Let me say something. He has the potential to lead this team to the playoffs in his rookie year, and I think he's going to do it. That NFC North is a very loaded division this year, but I think with the talent that the Bears have put around Caleb Williams, I think they will make the playoffs.
Thanks, Chris. Love the pick. A big shocker there for me personally. With the second pick in the 2024 Doghouse Sports Mock Draft, we'll go over to Mr. Pooch for the Washington Commanders.
Yes, thank you. So for the Washington Commanders here, someone argued that this is the first real 50-50 pick of this draft and could dictate how the other picks are going to play out. So I'm not going to take too much time here. I think the wavering has been done. The Washington Commanders, with the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, are going to select quarterback Jaden Daniels from LSU. Some people might say that's the wrong pick here. Some people have some other opinions. I think comes down to some of the tape, and I think Daniels played against far better competition than May did, and he's the Heisman winner at the end of the day. So with the second pick, it's going to be Jaden Daniels.
There it is. The first domino falls. Well, with the third pick, the New England Patriots, myself, are now on the clock.
And Stevie.
And hey, Nick.
If I may, Would you be interested in trading?
Trading with whom, might I ask?
Well, that would be the Minnesota Vikings. What I offer to you right now is our 2 first-round picks for your third overall.
No, I
Flat.
like that offer. I like that offer. How would you feel about those 2 firsts and a third next year for the first overall or third overall?
I love it. You got deals, sir.
Let's make it happen. Hey,
Might I just say,
cheers to that one.
here's to that.
Nick, you are on the clock with the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, Stevie, I'm going to be honest. I need no time here to make this decision. There have been a lot of whispers about where the Vikings are going to go this draft in the first round. The capital to try and move up for that trade. It's more of a question of where they're going to move up to. I know a lot of people have whispered that they're eyeing JJ McCarthy. I personally, with the third pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, choose to select Drake May of North Carolina.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
So we got the top 3 quarterbacks off the board. We're now moving to pick number 4, which is going to be Andrew for the Arizona Cardinals.
Thank you, Stevie. Pew, 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 pew. Shots. Explosives. Whoville child turned NFL head coach Jonathan Gannon loves playmakers who can run. Speaking of who's, certified shorty Kyler Murray needs a big target to get him some inches in this offense. So, all signs point to the Cardinals taking a wide receiver. Now, Glendale, State Farm Field, like a good neighbors? I think not.
Yep.
Flashback to the 2021 NBA Finals, the last time the state of Arizona had a team playing in a professional championship. The Suns lost to the Bucks. Interesting. Now let's take a closer look at the Cardinals logo. What stands out to you? The feathers, the beak, the eye? Bucks, eye, Buckeye, wide receiver. Ladies and gentlemen, with the 4th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals will select out of the Ohio State University, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Was that Andrew or Chris Berman? That was beautiful.
That was incredible. You got a real career ahead of you, kid.
Thank you.
We'll now move to the 5th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers, and Beachy.
Yeah. So I think that with the Cardinals selecting Harrison, that kind of like I think that's like truly the true turning point. So now with the Chargers, it'll be interesting to see what first year coach with the Chargers, Mr. Harbaugh wants to do here. If he wants to do more like a gritty type pick, like an old lineman, like a Joe Alt, I could see that. However, with us absolutely draining our wide receiver, I think we need to go with one of the top-notch weapons for and get one for Justin Herbert here. So that's why, with the 5th pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers will be selecting wide receiver Malik Neighbors out of LSU.
There it is.
How do we think he'll fare in Greg Roman's offense, my friend?
I think Greg Roman, while he likes the run first offense, I think when we last saw him in Baltimore, I think he really catered to that specifically for Lamar Jackson, who is the best, rushing threat at quarterback in the league. I think he'll modify his offense a bit for Mr. Herbert.
Be interesting to see. So Neighbors is off the board. That's going to bring us to pick number 6. I am on the clock here for the Giants. I'll admit, the Giants in our war room here were hoping that Neighbors was going to make it to pick 6. Disappointed to see that was not the case. We have a lot of strong convictions in this draft. As the Giants, we really value high character guys who we believe can get the job done, guys who we believe are coming out of school with the right experience against the right talent to make a difference in the league. And that's why, with the 6th pick overall, the Giants will be selecting Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU.
Wow.
First
Wow.
bombshell.
That might be our first shocker. Brian Thomas over Rome Odunze.
Mm.
Back-to-back LSU wide receivers. Stevie, I know we don't have too much time, but do you just want to maybe give us a little spiel about why you went Thomas over Odunze?
Yeah, for sure. I like I said, as the Giants, I really do think you're hoping to see neighbors here. There is the school of thought you want to go with JJ McCarthy at that 6th pick. You can let him sit a year, maybe see what happens. I think though they need speed on offense, and I do think there's something to seeing a guy play for LSU, have the LSU experience, know that he's playing the high quality talent. I don't think this is the craziest pick in the world.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know that I'm very high on Thomas, so.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on to pick number 7, the Tennessee Titans, and Pooch back on the clock.
Wow,
So
we are in
Kyle,
quite the experience here. Beach,
Kyle,
you're gonna offer a trade here.
yes, I would like to offer you a trade as a representative of the Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
Would you be open to hearing such a trade?
I would be.
All right, well let's get the Titans and the uh Broncos up here on the screen. I give you the 11th this year, or I'm sorry, the 12th this year, and then my second rounder of 2025.
Hmm. I don't think that this trade would be accepted. So now with the 7th pick, this poses quite the situation for the Tennessee Titans. Do you go ahead and take the offensive tackle and Joe Alt, who has been sitting there saying, "Oh, we have the worst offensive tackle situation in the NFL," or do you go ahead and bolster that wide receiver room with Rome Odunze? And I think that from my perspective, I think that they paid Calvin Ridley a little too much money. I'm surprised that they paid him that much money. And I think we're actually going to go tackle here. So with the 7th pick in the 2024 NFL draft, we're going to go offensive tackle Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. He's the cleanest offensive tackle prospect in this class. Plug him in from day one at left tackle. They have Bill Callahan, veteran offensive line coach. He's had plenty of success. I think what I saw was 14 offensive linemen with a total of 35 Pro Bowl selections. I think it's what they're going to do. I think the trade is definitely going to be something to think about on the real draft day because they will be getting calls, especially if Odunze is there. But I'm going to go with my gut here, and I don't think that they would accept that offer.
I hear it. I think a pick we're seeing a lot there with Joe Alt. Tough to go wrong with the Notre Dame tackles. Great pick. We'll move on to number 8 then, and that's going to put Mr. Nick back on the clock here with the Falcons.
Well, thank you, Stevie.
Hey, Nick.
Yes, Jared.
I would like to offer you a trade.
I will hear it.
All right. My trade offer to you, Nick, for the 8th pick. In return, I will give you the 12th overall pick this year, the 130 pick overall this year, and then my second round pick next year to only move back 4 spots.
I accept.
And another trade goes through. So that's going to mean the Denver Broncos are now on the clock at pick number 8.
Yeah, and I will say, Rooms of Dunze still on the clock here is actually really, really tempting. However, I think the Broncos are in a tough spot with quarterback, with currently their best option on the roster is Jarrett Stidham. And they do not hold a second round pick this year to maybe get one of those second round guys like Penix, Nix, or they might even miss out for like later in the second or in the third with Rattler. So I feel like with that 4th guy, with McCarthy dropping into the back half of the top 10 here, we wanted to leapfrog a team like the Patriots, and maybe even like move up before a team like the Raiders can. So that is why, with the 8th pick acquired from the Atlanta Falcons, the Denver Broncos was selecting quarterback out of Michigan, J.J. McCarthy.
Exciting stuff. There he goes.
The Broncos are-
Inside the top 10. Awesome. Well, we'll move to pick number 9. The Bears are back on the clock, and that means so is Chris.
The Bears are back. And unlike the Broncos, who just screwed the face of their franchise for years to come, setting themselves back at least 4 to 5 years, the Bears are building a powerhouse that will be reaching the playoffs this season. And, the Bears, they've built a nice little thing on offense. So, we're going to take edge rusher out of Alabama, Dallas Turner. Do I need to say more? Edge rusher out of Alabama. He's going to be a stud, and the defense, pair him with Montez Sweat. They're looking scary. Pick the Bears to make the playoffs, as I've been saying. We're on to the Jets.
There it is. So number 10, the Jets, that's going to go back to Andrew. What are we going to do here?
Rome still on the board. But we just got Mike Williams. We have Wilson. Do we need another wide receiver? Let's think back to last year. The New York Jets season crashed and burned, much like Boeing's public stock in 2024. This was contributed to decompression in a few of the Alaska Airlines 737s. Much like Boeing, New York needs to tighten up and stop screwing themselves if they want to soar to new heights. Tighten up, new heights. Sounds like the Jets might be drafting a man's best friend, a true dog, spelled D-A-W-G. Ladies and gentlemen, with the 10th overall pick, the New York Jets select out of Georgia tight end Brock Bowers.
Wow, Brock Bowers.
What
The
a pick.
10 at the 10. The 10 at the 10.
This was something I had mulled over in the back of my head as like a naughty little thought, but after a nice little call with my good friend Pooch today, he convinced me that I was not crazy, and if anything, he talked me into it. So credit goes to the GM.
But with a Dudze still on the board?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You have Rodgers on for really one more year. You have Wilson that's going to get a big payday. Do you really want to invest in another wide receiver that you're going to have to pay in addition to a rookie quarterback coming after Rodgers? Like, I don't think financially it makes sense. And Brock Bowers you're drafting an all-pro.
Bold. I like it. Well, Stevie, I think you might be. I think the Patriots are jumping for joy right now.
Right now, at pick 11, the Patriots are on the clock. And, I think we all know the Patriots need an answer at quarterback. They need a guy they can trust, a guy they can rely on. But they don't need it right now. Because at pick number 11 in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots are overjoyed to select Rome Odunze out of Washington. Not much more needs to be said there. Makes us automatically dynamic on the outside. Whoever's throwing the ball finally has a target.
Yeah, I mean, whoever your quarterback is, that will help them miles. So
100%. Well, we'll keep it moving. We'll go down to pick number 12, the Atlanta Falcons. Nick, let's see if you can make the pick this time.
Well, Stevie, you just made my select pick, which I appreciate. The Falcons coming into this year, we're thinking we got Kirk. We got Kirk for a couple of years now. And a lot of key players on their offense, I feel like going into every season, it's like this is going to be the year they make the jump. Maybe it was the quarterback issue all along. So I think the Falcons are feeling okay. They're going to try with Kyle Pitts, see what Drake London can produce and all these offensive minds under Kirk. We're going to look to the defense here. And with defense, the Atlanta Falcons are going to select Terrion Arnold, corner out of Alabama.
There it is, the first corner off the board. I don't know if anybody sees him going to the Falcons, but I love that pick, Nick. I actually really like that one.
Thank you.
All right, we'll keep it moving. We got number 13. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. That's going to bring us back to Chris.
Raiders, here we are. Who's the Raiders quarterback? Aiden O'Connell. He is a young quarterback coming off a shaky rookie season, to say the least. What do we need to do to help our rookie quarterback. We need a tackle in Las Vegas. We need someone who's going to be there, consistent, ready to roll from day one. We're taking the Alabama man, J.C. Latham, in Las Vegas.
There it is. Latham off the board. Tough to argue with anybody out of Alabama, especially someone off that line. Latham maybe a little higher than some saw him going, but a solid player, an instant starter in the NFL. We'll keep things going. Number 14, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. That's going to bring us to Pooch.
Yeah, so the New Orleans Saints, they're expecting a run on some of these linemen here in these mid-teen picks here. So I'm thinking they're going to go ahead, and I think this is going to come down to who's on the board at the time. But right now, we're looking at things, and we see our man. We wanted him from the beginning. That would be none other than tackle Alumua Fashanu out of Penn State. He's a great player. He's never allowed a sack in college. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. All of his snaps were at left tackle. I think they have Penning at left tackle, and that experiment hasn't gone super well, I don't think. So they definitely need to do something when it comes to a offensive tackle. And this is another young player, Kobe 21 the whole year. And basically this is something that we're going to see a rebuilt offensive line down there in New Orleans to make sure that Mr. Derek Carr is protected from all his many injuries that he's suffered throughout the last few years.
Olu off the board. We got back-to-back tackles. We'll keep it moving to pick 15 with the Colts. We'll welcome Nick back.
He's not as good as J.C. Latham because the Raiders picked him already.
This is a fair point. This is a fair point.
Well, since I'm back, here I thought you were going to offer a trade, but it appears the Colts will be holding strong at 15. You know what, Stevie? We're rolling with the corners here. The Colts are going to select Quinion Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo.
Cornerback out of Toledo. Now, Nick, is that how you rank your corners since you selected the two of them? I would assume so. You go Arnold and then Mitchell. Was that a debate for you when you were on with the Falcons and now again with the Colts?
Stevie, it was never a question in my mind. Mitchell, always going to be second here.
There it is. All right, we'll keep things moving with number 16, the Seahawks. We'll welcome back Andrew.
Thanks, Stevie. Now, contrary to popular belief, a Seahawk is not a real bird. I know this now as an aspiring birder. The logo is based on an osprey or hawk of some sorts. Interesting stuff, really. You know what else is interesting? There are no notable fountains in the ancient city of Troy. You might be asking, Andrew, how is this related to the Seahawks pick? Well, just like there are no real Seahawks, there are no real Troy fountains. The football Greek gods have spoken, ladies and gentlemen. And with the 16th overall pick, the Seattle Seahawks select former Washington Husky offensive tackle Troy Fautanu. Thank you.
And another tackle off the board. We're having quite the run here. All right, now to Jacksonville, to the Jaguars at pick number 17. Jared will be on the clock.
All right.
I'm going to stop you right there, Jared, and ask you if you would like to trade with Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles organization.
Oh, potentially. Let's bring up the good old trade option here.
I'm expecting to offer, obviously, our first round pick this year. And then I would say our pick at 53. So if you would like to throw in your third round pick.
That's perfect.
I think that would be good for both of us.
And I am going to accept this trade.
How about it? Good doing business with you, sir.
Howie Roseman strikes again. Eagles at number 17 on the clock, Andrew.
With the 17th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles look to have different priorities after trading pass rusher Hassan Reddick. Growing up just across the bridge in Camden, Reddick will leave a large hole in this team. Seeing the Temple grad return to his home team and lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl in 2022 was like watching poetry in motion. My favorite poet, Walt Whitman, actually died in the same city Reddick was born in. His poem, Oh Me, Oh My, rings through my head on this fine evening, gentlemen, especially his haunting last line. That you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. Ladies and gentlemen, with the 17th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jared Verse, edge rusher out of Florida State University.
Verse down to 17. Hell of a player you got there, Andrew. Feels like an Eagles pick.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of vintage Howie. He sees one of the big D linemen fall, just like Jalen Carter last year. He goes up and gets his paws on him.
There it is. We'll move to pick 18. The Cincinnati Bengals now on the clock. I'll be making the pick here for them. You know, the Bengals have one priority and really one priority only on their offense, and that should be protecting Joe Burrow. There's a lot of different directions I can see the Bengals going with this pick. They are in a spot where they can choose to wait, address some needs later in the draft if they want to. But with Talisi Fuaga sitting here at pick number 18, I think it's a no-brainer. With the 18th overall pick, the Bengals will select Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State.
Bust. Dude, why would you say that?
So now we'll move on to pick number 19. After some murmurs from the crowd, the Rams from Los Angeles are on the clock. Let's hear it, Chris.
Can anyone tell me who retired from the Rams this past offseason? Andrew.
I believe that'd be Aaron Donald.
Correct. Thank you. Point for Andrew. We're going to take Jerzon Newton to replace Aaron Donald. Man out of Illinois. I believe he will do a good job stepping in to replace the hole that has been left by one of the GOATs. So that is where the Rams will be going.
Bust.
Over Murphy.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, over Murphy, Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
The Rams went back and forth heavily. We liked Jerzon's interview much better than Byron's. Byron believes in the flat earth.
Heard that. I've heard that on the streets. Good pick there. We'll move to number 20. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and this is going to be Pooch.
All right. Well, I did not expect Byron Murphy to fall this far. Chris is saying that he didn't like the interview. I'm not sure we like the interview either here in Pittsburgh. And if you know one Omar Khan, he traded up last year to get Broderick Jones for the O-line. So, again, another man out of Georgia. We're going to go with the 23rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers select Armarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. You will now have two Georgia offensive tackles in back-to-back years for the Steelers. And I really like this pick for them. This is pretty much unheard of for the Steelers to go ahead and pick another tackle in the first round. But I think they had some success last year, and they want to continue on that success to, build around. Now they have Russell Wilson and could eventually be Justin Fields behind center. Got to get him as much protection as they can. So.
Nice. It's a huge tackle out of Georgia. Love Marius Mims. Well, we'll head down to Miami. Pick number 21. Nick will be on the clock for the Dolphins.
Gentlemen, I think we're looking at a run here. The Miami Dolphins. We don't care what the interviews are saying. We like a superstar. And you know what? It's about what you do on the field, not off, unless you get arrested. Therefore, the Miami Dolphins will be selecting Byron Murphy.
I like that pick with Christian Wilkins walking in free agency.
Thank you. Thank you.
Strong response from the Dolphins there. They stand by their guys clearly. Well, Beach, you'll be on the clock now finally. Pick number 22. Your Jaguars are back.
Yeah, and the Jaguars could use some secondary assistance. And there is an absolute speedster still on the clock. And that would be, well, I should say, with the 22nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select Nate Wiggins, corner out of Clemson.
He is a speedster, that's for sure. That's for sure. I think if you're the Jaguars, you might be hoping to get one of the other two, but I like that pick there, the fit in Jacksonville. Were you hoping for one of the others, Beach, or you stand by Wiggins?
No, I mean, I this is about the order of my board. I have Arnold and Mitchell both higher than Wiggins, but they were both off the board at 17. So I think this is kind of like an ideal scenario in a way for the Jaguars, right? They trade back, get some extra draft capital, and they still get one of their priority positions of need, and who I think will still be a very good player in Nate Wiggins.
Well, we'll go back to New England. I'm back on the clock here with the Patriots at the 23rd pick. I think if you're the Patriots, you're in love with the Odunze pick that you got to make up at 11, but you were really hoping that there was some tackles left here on the board. Unfortunately, in my view, Guyton's a fringe first rounder. You can get somebody equivalent in the second round. You're not going to make that selection here. So that brings you to a tough decision. Do you strike and get your quarterback here? Do you believe in Bo Nix or Michael Penix? Personally, I don't think you do. You have the opportunity to do it. The value might be a little high, but it feels right. With pick number 23 in the 2024 NFL Draft, New England Patriots will select wide receiver Adonai Mitchell.
Wow.
Wow.
Doubling up at wide receiver.
Solving the problems we have.
There's going to be some unhappy teams with that pick, but I love it, Steve.
Yeah, got to get the offensive firepower. Hard to win if you don't have weapons. That's what we're solving here. Well, number 24, you're back on the clock here, Beach, with your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, let me, for the audience, that was a funny. Cowboys are not my favorite team. They're, in fact, one of my least favorite teams. But alas, I am picking for them irregardless, and I pick with sincerity.
I believe you mean regardless.
All right, anyway. So, Dallas Cowboys on the clock. They did almost nothing in free agency. The only person they signed was Eric Kendricks at linebacker. And their offensive line was depleted. And that's kind of been Dallas's calling card for the past decade or so. Been their strength, their offensive line. And they saw Tyron Smith walk. They saw Tyler Biadazi walk. So that opens, and with Tyler Smith now moving out to left tackle, that opens a hole in the interior of the offensive line. And to me, this just feels like a Cowboys pick. And with the 24th overall pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys will be selecting Jackson Powers Johnson, interior O-line out of Oregon. This guy is a blue-collared, hit him hard, hardworking guy. I think he fits the Dallas, what they want in their offensive line to a T. And I just feel like this makes a lot of sense.
There it is, the true center out of Oregon there. Cowboys go with Powers Johnson. Well, we'll go over to Green Bay. The Packers are on the clock, and that means, Chris, you are back on the clock.
Would anyone like the Packers pick?
Trade is looking to trade.
Okay, the Packers will pick then.
The Bills might be interested.
Who would be interested?
The Bills, the Buffalo Bills might be interested in a trade here.
Green Bay would love to hear your thoughts, Buffalo.
Let's bring up the trade machine there, Beach.
I'm really interested in see who the Buffalo would be targeting because, off the dome, you need receiver with Diggs out, but with Mitchell already off the board, this is interesting.
It's a little panic in Buffalo, I think. You see the receivers go, and you don't want to risk losing another one.
Oh, is that a little foreshadowing?
So, Chris, I think here Buffalo would love to offer you the 28th pick
Yep.
in addition to our fourth pick, 128, for your pick 25.
You have a deal, my friend. Stockpile.
That sounds good.
All right,
Beautiful.
Stevie, you're on the clock.
Buffalo Bills on the clock here. It's no brainer. You got to go to receiver. That's why we made the trade. There's some pressure on here. You lose Stephon Diggs, and who are you left with? Not Gabe Davis, because he's also gone to Jaguars. So you have Shakir leading your receiving core. You got to choose a guy who you know can get things done. There's a lot of dynamic talents in this draft. A lot of those have already gone off the board. But like we've been saying throughout this episode, you got to go to players who have proven track records with teams who know how to win. That's a guy like Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. So with the 25th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills will select Ladd McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia.
Love it.
So we'll head to Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are on the clock, and there goes Pooch.
Indeed. While the Bucs would have loved a corner here, they would have loved one. They're not going to pick one. They're going to go over to edge rusher there for me, Beach. And they are going with the 26th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft to select controversial pick Laitu Latu. And this is controversial because for those who do not know, this is a player who has a pretty robust injury history. He actually medically retired from football. He's come back and hasn't had any issues the past 2 years. So I think the Bucs are happy to roll the dice here and say, okay, we're going to reinforce edge. They really need an edge rusher after some of the people that have left the team this offseason. And I think this is a perfect pick for them here at 26 to get that value at late first rounder in Latu. So,
yeah, Kyle, I agree. Like, if the medical history wasn't there, this is a top 10 caliber pick, right? Like, arguably the best edge rusher in the class. So if his medicals check out and the team's comfortable with that, this is an absolute home run of a pick.
I completely agree.
Could be the best pick in the draft, honestly, if Latu hits. Well, we'll go back to Arizona, their second pick here in the first round, and that's going to bring Mr. Andrew back to us.
Stevie, I'll be honest with you. I have no idea who the Arizona Cardinals will pick here. I think it's very likely that they would entertain a team trading back into this pick. But let's kind of look at the board here. Not a lot of quarterbacks that would draw that interest for a fifth year, in my opinion. Not a lot of receivers left either. So I think Arizona will definitively draft a cornerback. Now, Cooper DeJean, a lot has been made about him, not being able to compete in the combine, injuries. He is very pale. Is that a concern in Arizona? It is a dome stadium, but will he deal with sunburn in or around, outside of the facilities? Kool-Aid McKinstry, also very good. But with the red jersey, is that too on the nose with a name like that? I originally thought that Ennis Rakestraw was going to be my pick here, but because Cooper DeJean has fallen this far, I think you just have to take out the flyer and risk it being a top-end corner talent. So with the 27th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Cooper DeJean.
There it is. Yeah, I like that pick. That makes a lot of sense to me. You got a lot of versatility with DeJean to generally bolster the secondary.
Another kind of underrated thing with Cooper, with the new kickoff rules, I think he's going to be a real player on special teams as well.
I like it.
A little Patrick.
Well, Chris, you are now on the clock at 28 with the Packers. Are we trying to trade back again?
Can I trade with myself?
Wait, you don't have any other picks to trade with?
What if the Raiders wanted to trade back in?
No.
Okay. Well, the Packers honestly really wanted Cooper, but we'll have to move on to another corner from DBU. You got the likes of Marlon Humphrey, Minkah Fitzpatrick, others that I can't think of right now, we're going to take Alabama cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry to fill the need that they need in that secondary in Green Bay. They have a good young team. We're going to shore up the defense along with Jordan Love and that fun offense, and we're going to make a run at it this year.
There it is. Back-to-back corners, DeJean and McKinstry off the board, like both of those picks. Number 29, Detroit.
And Detroit's biggest need is arguably corner, with Cameron Sutton being released due to off-the-field concerns. So going back-to-back corners there, the Lions aren't too happy about that.
Well, if the Lions would have allowed the Raiders to trade back in, then they would have a corner right now.
Well, here's the thing. We did bring in Carlton Davis, and Emmanuel Mosley is going to return from injury. Plus, we brought in Amik Robinson, too. So it's not like we're completely barren at corner. And a guy like Dan Campbell likes to build from the front out, the line out. And even though we brought in Marcus Davenport, he's very streaky, very injury prone. So that is why. And I think this is great value here. With the 29th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, Detroit Lions select Chop Robinson, edge out of Penn State.
That's a great pick for the Lions, yeah. Pair Chop with Aiden Hutchinson, that could be real dangerous.
Yes.
Well, Baltimore is on the clock here, and that's going to be our guy Pooch picking for his favorite team at number 30.
Indeed, the Ravens on the clock here. If we were doing that, someone could trade back into the first round. I think that's the most likely outcome for what the Ravens are going to do, especially with the board that is currently sitting here. I will obviously still make this pick. The biggest need here in Baltimore is going to be over at the tackle spots. So you can go ahead and click on that guy. And he's right there at the top with the 30th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Ravens are going to select Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. With Morgan Moses gone now, we really need to bolster our O-line in front of Lamar Jackson. I think there's plenty of other options in the draft. I think this is something that EDC is going to think about when it comes to second-round picks for sure. I think there's going to be plenty of viable guys. So even if we don't end up with Guyton in real life, I think we're going to get someone to plug and play there in the O-line. But definitely need to get that O-line figured out for our man King Henry as well as MVP Lamar Jackson. So I trust in EDC, and if we do pick at 30, I think this is a very, very good pick for us.
For sure, yeah, and arguably best player available there. Fits the Ravens' MO. But we'll get close to wrapping things up here. Pick 31, the penultimate. 49ers, Nick, that'll be you.
All right, Niners, what are we looking at here? I feel like pretty agreed upon last year that they were one of the more complete teams. And that leads to a lot of different whispers about where the Niners are going to go in the first round this year. I've even heard a guy say he wants Bo Nix to go to the Niners. So anything could happen here. I don't personally see that happening. What I think makes sense for the Niners in this first round is that they look to beef up their O-line a bit more. So we are going to go with Graham Barton out of Duke.
I think that's great value here.
For sure. A great pick there for the Niners, adding some more versatility on that O-line that could arguably use some bolstering, so I like it. Well, here at pick 32, we have the Chiefs wrapping us up here to end the first round. Unfortunately, I don't know that this went the way they're hoping it would. A lot of receivers off the board, and arguably the position they wanted to pick was receiver. You could also say maybe they want to pick a corner, somebody they could help bolster their secondary after they lost their guy. But, it's really a tough pick here for Kansas City. And I think in positions like this, these are the times where you got to consider the best player available. So the Kansas City Chiefs, despite where they might have them on their board, think they know what they need to do for their team. They're going to pick wide receiver Keon Coleman out of Florida State. hopefully hit here, hope for the best. They believe this guy has a chance to really do something big.
I love that pick, Stevie.
I think a lot of people would probably argue that Worthy is the next receiver on their board. I think that's what this has. I think Coleman has some versatility that Worthy doesn't necessarily offer in terms of red zone offense, some things that the Chiefs need they don't currently have. So that's where I went there. Well, that's going to wrap us up, guys. We appreciate having really the full crew together for the first time. This was a super fun exercise. Got to see how the draft might shake out. Got some fun trades in there. Some players picked earlier than we thought, later than we thought. But this is what happens when it comes to the draft. So we appreciate you all taking the time to join the Doghouse. Hopefully we'll see everybody again soon. And for all you listening, thanks for watching another episode of the Doghouse Sports, a fan's best friend
For all things sports.
There it is.